Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Call public session to order. You can please join us as Ron Kramer, former board member, leads us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Kramer. Superintendent's report is our first item. While we're getting ready for that, anybody who would like to comment tonight, either on an agenda item or at the end of the meeting, public session, there's a book over there for you to sign. So you can just go sign it in there, and then we can call you out in an orderly fashion, okay? Thank you.
All right, well, welcome everybody, thank you for being here. We are excited to present tonight the bond, 2023 bond, that board approved in July. And so we're gonna move forward and give you some information about what we can expect for October 24th.
So just a little background if you haven't been at any of our meetings or following online. We had a facilities committee for the past couple of years working on some needs of the district through our planning of 5-year capital plan. And then last year we developed a bond committee, which was comprised of community members, parents, staff members, architects, a lot of people. We had about 30 people on that committee that really started diving into what the facilities committee was working on and narrowed down a list of priority items that we really need to start working on within the infrastructures of our halls and our facilities in order to prioritize what are our needs. So we looked at these 3 topics as our primary goals: the health and safety for all of our students, staff, and faculty, the aging infrastructure that is beyond its useful life at this point in time, as well as educational enhancements for our 21st century learning environments. So why do we need to do a capital bond? So not sure if you're aware, but our boilers are from 1979. They're over 45 years old. That's both at the high school, middle school, as well as in the elementary building. There's multiple boilers. However, some of the most originals are beyond their aging point. Boilers typically last about 30 years, so we are now at the end of their aging life. Our middle school locker rooms are from 1979. They're original to the building as well, again, 44 years old. The high school track is just over 20 years old now. Our library windows up at the high school, they do leak depending on which way the rain blows in at it, and so they were installed in 2002, again, over 20 years old. The public address system in the high school, middle school is also 20 years old. It has old antiquated phones that sometimes don't work to call from the main office into the classrooms. And secretaries have to actually run from the building, from their office over to classrooms to communicate any needs of our students. And a lot of the ceiling tiles up in the high school are over 44 years old as well. So like I said, aging infrastructure is there, and with the aging infrastructure, that starts creating health and safety issues and concerns that we have district-wide. So how do we pay for bonds? What do we do, and what are we doing to help offset the cost to the taxpayers? We have a building aid ratio of 78.2%. So what that means is at 78 cents on the dollar, the state will pay for any projects that are aidable. Not all projects are aidable. There's a lot of formulas that go into play that both develop what is actually aidable in our projects. However, those that are, we will receive 78% aid on. We did establish 2 years ago a capital reserve. We now have, at the end of June of 2023, the year that just closed, $1.2 million saved into that reserve. We started capital outlay projects 2 years ago. They're $100,000 projects that we're starting to tackle within each building. Again, those are aidable at that 78%. So for every $100,000 project we do, the following year we get $78,000 worth of aid back. And now that we're in that cycle, that is offsetting the cost to the taxpayers for the next project. So it becomes a kind of a cost-efficient way to start tackling some of those smaller scale projects. And also the last capital bond was done in 2015. That was about $8.2 million, and that was drastically cut from $27 million that had previously failed. And that $8 million really just addressed some health and safety issues that were necessary at that time when they were reviewing the project.
So, and just looking at that, when you think about that, that's $15 million worth of work that wasn't done back in 2015 that was proposed. And so many of those things, obviously, are things that now are leading towards this bond that we're putting on.
So we're just going to go high level over some of the projects that are proposed within this bond. So at Clayton Huey, we have sidewalks and asphalt to be redone, the all-purpose room to receive a full renovation, the Brookfield drop-off loop, now that we purchased 559 Main Street. We had shown when we were going through that purchase, we showed the community what that potentially looks like, as well as the boiler replacements, as we mentioned before. So sidewalks, as you go out to your car, please feel free, take a look, walk the sidewalks. There's a lot of safety issues that we're starting to see, damaged and cracked slabs and curbs along the main bus loop area, as well as in this parking lot. The tree roots are starting to come through, which is a lot of these parking spaces do become unusable as a result of that. The all-purpose room, it is primarily the stage curtains, the stage floor, the front of the stage. We would redo the entire floor. So this summer we did just a top coat on our floor. It was not sanded down, repainted. It was our custodial staff just went in, cleaned it, shined it up. So it does look nice and pretty for the kids to come back. But it is yellow, dingy, and as you look at it, you will start to see some of the damage that's happening in that floor just over the course of time. So we would resurface the floor, paint the walls, and replace any wall padding that's damaged and destroyed in that room as well. Again, the boilers, 1978. We're currently starting to see repair costs around $10,000 to $30,000 a year just to keep these boilers going. At some times we do see one boiler fail, the other one has to just keep operational in order to maintain temperatures in the buildings. And we also have some old water underground storage tanks that are not being used, have been abandoned, that do need to be removed. However, EPC has to get involved in that, so it is costly to remove those tanks. So as we were mentioning, the Brookfield Parking Lot with the purchase of 559 Main Street, this is a rendering that we had provided last year when we were purchasing the property of some general ideas that we've been having, final draft and final decisions to be made once we get to that point. But over on the side, you can see what it looks like at Brookfield at dismissal time. There are cars parked all along Brookfield. They're parked on the sidewalk. It's very unsafe to walk through. And with redoing the parking lot, we will gain parking spaces as well as create a safe drop-off loop for our students and parents to go through and get all that traffic off of Brookfield.
But also, I think, in terms of where the existing parking is, we talked about beautifying Main Street a little bit, making a little bit of common greening there. But clearly, I mean, as a superintendent, when I walk out there, I go out and dismiss it. It's pretty uncomfortable for me to see cars parked up and only, the ability for one car to drive down the middle of Brookfield and people crossing. It's a challenge to watch dismissal sometimes.
So over at the high school and the middle school, we've kind of combined all these projects. It is one building, two distinct buildings for educational purposes, but it is one building, one facility. So some of the large projects included in that are our sidewalks and asphalt again, and that's both at the front and the back of the building, an auditorium renovation, some roof replacements, boiler replacement, upgrades to our library, upgrades to the locker rooms, an addition for a music suite, family consumer science upgrades, as well as health and PE upgrades. So again, the asphalt in the back lot, there's a lot of potholes. Our guys do the best they can to fill those potholes and maintain them. However, they are kind of starting to become unrepairable. And the concrete and sidewalks, again, are starting to crack and slant that are causing some safety issues and concerns that we have in that area. The auditorium, if you've been there, I see most of you are all high school parents here, so it speaks for itself. The seats are all ripped and torn. We do our best to try to fix them. However, there's some significant damage to them. The stage floor, the stage curtains. So pretty much in that room, we would be looking at a total remodel or refacing that entire room to be more inviting, fix the lighting that's going on there. It's very dark as well, that we don't have different lighting structures. So it really is replacing the audience seating, replacing the stage, replacing the curtains, all the flooring within the auditorium as well. Again, boiler replacement, these are up at the high school and the middle school, as well as the water storage tank. Again, these are all 45 plus years old. Family consumer science, we're looking to renovate the space to more of a 21st century learning environment. While it is functional right now, it is not functional to the curriculum that we're teaching. Curriculum has evolved and changed over the years. So we have about 6 cooking stations. We don't need that many as they don't cook as much now in that curriculum. So we would look to replace the cabinetry, replace appliances, new finishing, new floors, and restructure that classroom to more of what the curriculum requires now for that room. We're looking at a career mental health wellness center. So what you see here is the guidance office. It is empty because when we were taking these pictures, they were in the middle of doing the floor, so all the furniture was actually pulled out when we were walking the building and doing these. But this is here where the secretaries are sitting, and then they have the guidance counselors right off of there. There's no private meeting spaces within that spot. There's nowhere for college recruitment center to take place, for parents or students to meet either as groups or one-on-one with the counselors. They're in tiny offices, so we're looking to expand that a little bit more, and it really comes in line with our SEL initiatives that we've been working towards the past few years, as well as plans that we have coming up in the future years. Want to speak to that? We do have in Vermont also a new track. This track is over 20 years old. It was installed in 2002, I believe. And on the left, you can see all the different issues. If you are down at those fields, if you've run track, if you have walked that track, you can start to see the bubbling, the uneven surfaces that we're starting to see over there. We have issues with the long jump as well as the pole vaults. We have issues with the drains. So we've been working with the architects on some of the safety concerns that we have, and they have proposed really it's a new total track replacement that we would need to do down here. Library redesign, so we would be replacing all the front leaking windows as well as discovery of what's happening and why that is happening to prevent it from happening in the future. And then a complete redesign of the library itself, new furniture, new instructional spaces, to create a makerspace, more collaborative learning, again, 21st century learning environments, and just to kind of upgrade our buildings to what the surrounding buildings and our surrounding districts are offering to their students. New locker rooms over at the middle school. These are the original locker rooms to the building, so it would be a complete redo, new lockers, new floors, new benches, liven up that space so it becomes useful for the students in the middle school. So the music suite addition, this is a large conversation that we had as we were going through the bond committee with our music department and the community members as to what do we want to do with this space. So currently there's lack of storage for instruments. They're storing stuff in the hallway, they're storing stuff on the stage in the auditorium, they're storing in the LGI room. They don't have private practice rooms as well. They don't have a larger practice space. They have to use the auditorium and the LGI. If we create an addition, we will create a large practice space, reconfigure the current music space, leave LGI alone because we do use that for instruction. But it would give the music department their own area in order to provide the instruction that they need, as well as continue to enhance our music and art offerings that we have in the district.
And I think to Carrie's point earlier is that, when we compare some of our facilities to the facilities at Eastport South Banner, West Hampton, what we're looking to do is get our facilities up to par with the level of facilities that they have. They've got dedicated music space, they've got some better athletic facilities. We really want to provide our kids the same quality of facilities that are comparable regionally.
So some future presentations. We have a busy calendar for the next 2 months. Dr. Becerra and I will be around often. You will be seeing our faces everywhere. We will be at Meet the Teacher Nights. We will have tables set up at each one of those with information, with flyers, to answer any questions anybody might have. Future presentations at the next board meeting, September 13th, PTO meeting on September 27th, and we will be holding a community forum on October 4th, which is open to the entire public. And we will do building walkthrough tours on October 12th at Clayton Huey, and then October 16th at the high school. Those tours will be running every 20 minutes. You don't need to make an appointment, just show up. And every 20 minutes, somebody will be there to give you a tour of the building, show you some of the items that are included on the bond, some of the issues that we're concerned with that we need to start moving forward. So all those other items though were Proposition 1. There are two separate propositions. Proposition 2 is contingent upon Proposition 1 passing, so it cannot go through unless that goes through. Proposition 2 would include changing the main stadium field at the high school to a turf field, as well as upgrading the bleachers and press box. So that's what Proposition 2 was. And again, this was another long conversation at the bond committee level, included in Prop 1, do it as a Prop 2. They ultimately decided to do a Prop 2, but again, it is dependent upon Proposition 1 going through. So this is just a synopsis of all the different projects that are in both. So Proposition 1 is over $44 million, and Proposition 2 is $3.7 million. The vote is on October 24th at the Main Street Gym, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And just to answer the question before it comes at us, what is the cost to you as a taxpayer? We are working diligently on that to give that to you. So our next board meeting, we will have that information. We had conversations and meetings with our architects and financial advisors today to kind of phase out these projects. It will be done in 4 to 5 phases, so over the course of 4 or 5 years, in order to make sure that there's the least impact to our taxpayers. We need to line up these projects based on State Education Department's approval process, which is about 20 weeks' time before they approve a project. And then with that, lining it up with receiving building aid, that's 78% on those able projects, which will help offset the cost to the taxpayers. So by our September board meeting, we will have all that information in that presentation. We are working with our public relations firm to get flyers out, information. There is a dedicated page on the website with this information, and as we develop new information, that will all be posted up there, and we will be sure to be pushing it out to the community so that everybody is well informed. That's it. Any questions?
So you did toss a number out there, Carrie, just to reiterate so I'm clear. Let's say it's 40 million for Proposition 1. And if all the projects were hateable, which they won't be, but if they were the district, so the district would lay out 40 million. And over time get back, let's say 30 million.
Over the course of 15 years, we would get 78% back, yes. Yeah, throughout the phases and as we file those final cost reports, yes.
Good. Thank you. That brings us to questions and comments regarding tonight's agenda only. Nope.
Say that.
Questions and comments regarding tonight's agenda? Only?
So on the bond question, that proposal, being that most of that work was done from this building before 1980, was that also including any research done for that asbestos abatement removal?
There is abatement removal, so at Clayton Huey, there's still a little bit of abatement under the kindergarten wing, as well as in the original section of the building, so there is money allotted to finalize the abatement. Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to donations. Right. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education accepts the following donations. New York Islanders floorball physical education unit, motion.
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor? Yes. Motion carried unanimously.
And so thanks to the principals for working with the New York Islanders to obtain that grant, and our high school students will benefit from that equipment and that program. Thank you, Jeremy.
Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the following retirements. Anne Marie Sherman, motion. Second. Discussion.
Well, obviously, the guys' department is an important department, and, our parents, our kids clearly rely on them. And Ms. Sherman has been in that office for many, many years, so we wish her well this time.
All in favor? Yes. Motion carried unanimously. we'll do it. Approval of all consent agenda items as presented. Be resolved, the motion to approve the consent agenda items 9A through 14B. Motion,
Motion.
second, discussion. All in favor? Yes. Motion carries unanimously.
That does include all coaching events.
That brings us to 14C. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the following proposals for facilities. It's okay.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, that's it.
Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the following proposals for facilities use agreement contract in accordance with the terms and conditions of the agreement. Motion,
Motion.
second. Discussion.
So this was a director in California who grew up in East Moriches and requested to work, actually film a scene in our district. And so we kind of thought about this and we realized that there is potentially a benefit to some of our kids, particularly the theater department, to basically be able to have some exposure. He has offered to come and do a presentation for our kids on filmmaking and on his rise from East Moriches out to Hollywood. So, positive in that sense, and potentially to, provide our kids some inspiration on their journey as, maybe some of our TV kids might enjoy that. So, I made this recommendation because, again, it's a local student, within our local community, not necessarily Central Moriches grad, actually graduated from West Hampton. But respectfully, he was a request, we met with him, kind of like the things that we heard from him, and that's why I made the recommendation.
Yeah, and nothing from our school that would make it recognizable as ours.
Nothing else will be recognizable, correct? Yeah.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion carried unanimously? Yes, yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. General public comment? Rob, you got anything? Okay. Informational items. Next Board of Education meeting will be Wednesday, September 13th, 2023. Exec session at 6, audit committee meeting at 6:30, tentative upon confirmation. Action meeting approximately 7 o'clock right here in the district office boardroom. Motion to adjourn into executive session, the purpose for which is to discuss legal potential litigation that we can't disclose. Motion,
Motion.
second. All in favor? Yes, motion carries unanimously. Thank you for coming, Robin.
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you, Rob.
You guys, I know I'm home, honey.
You are.
This mountain.
How are you?